What is the oldest religion? If you're on a spiritual journey and you're trying to determine which worldview is correct, you might be curious to know the oldest religion because the true meaning of heaven or hell, life or reincarnation, God or gods would presumably go back to the very beginning. Or you might think that the spiritual entities of this world would reveal itself to humanity early on. So, what is the oldest religion? Finding the oldest religion is easier said than done. Hinduism may boast of being the oldest religion, but Hindu beliefs have evolved and spidered out into a very diverse pool of different schools of thought, and we really don't know what Hinduism was like in its earliest form compared with Hinduism in its many different expressions today. Judaism, like many other religions, talks about the creation of the world and how the first human beings interacted with God. So if Judaism is right, then that would be the oldest religion, not Hinduism of any form, because Judaism goes back to the beginning of the world. Of course, it wasn't always called Judaism, but the God of Judaism was the God who created humankind and revealed himself to them from the very beginning, even before the Jews were a distinct group of people. Christianity likewise uses the same timeline of the Jewish Bible and branches out in a new direction when the Jewish God Yahweh revealed himself in Jesus. So if the Christians are right, then Christianity and Judaism are tied as the oldest religion. Obviously, Christianity as a movement dates back to the 1st century AD, but they see the Jewish story as their own. Jesus was a Jew, after all, and so Christianity, if true, is simply the next chapter of God's story which began at the creation of the world. Islam also lays claim to the Jewish timeline. So if Islam is correct, then Islam is tied with Judaism as the oldest religion, and Christianity is not the oldest religion because they were wrong about their connection to God's story. Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses branch off from Christianity. They even call themselves Christian. So if they're right, then they are tied with traditional Christianity and with Judaism as the oldest religions because their story is just the next chapter of the story by traditional Christians, which was the next chapter of the story by Judaism. My point is that we really can't determine which religion is true or most likely by studying which religion is the oldest. Instead, we have to use other methods to determine which religion is true. I find that there is great evidence to believe in Christianity, and I share that in many of my other videos. So for this reason, I think that Christianity is the oldest religion along with Judaism, but that's a conclusion I made based on my Christian belief system. I would encourage you to find the evidence for the reliability of the Gospels, for the resurrection of Jesus, etc. I think you'll find that Christians have a lot to say in support of themselves. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.